And as I said, those are things that are unexpected and not that I was specifically looking for.
Dan, how did you find carnivore?
I guess that it comes from my upbringing. I'm originally from Romania, the western part of Romania, the corner where it meets with former Yugoslavia and Hungary. And I grew up with my grandparents in a small village somewhere in the mountains over there near maybe Transylvania sounds more familiar to your viewers. So it was like, how should I say, a pretty patriarchal way of living. Everything that was consumed was produced mostly locally. So everybody would have a couple of cows, some pigs, some goats, some sheep, some hens, and so on. Now, in that part of the country, doctors were telling me when I was young, an LDL cholesterol 280 to 300 is absolutely normal. And the reason for that being, I don't know the exact term, but when you take a small kid, a toddler, from out of milk and you are putting it to some different kind of food, right? Well, over there, that different kind of food was a piece of homemade sausage. So from your mother's milk, you get to pork sausage. So I guess it's a little bit in my epigenetics, so to say. Meat was always, for me, the most important part of any meal. Meat and eggs mostly, and a little bit of dairy. I didn't have to force myself too much to get into this kind of lifestyle. Obviously, I went through the YouTube rabbit hole, starting with Sean Baker on Joe Rogan, then finding Dr. Ken, Dr. Anthony Chaffee, and the algorithm works from there. And basically, sometimes I think around 2007, 2008, I started digging a little bit deeper into keto and carnivore and things like that. So I found actually a nice guy here in Bangkok. You pay him a monthly fee and it sends you 3 meals and so covering the whole day. In the morning you get a package with, and he has various options, vegetarian, bulk up, and so on, amongst other keto menus. So I started with that. It lasted me for almost 3 months. After 3 months, I told him, dude, it's too much food that you are sending me. So it's this thing that happens when you go into this kind of diets. You eat less because the food is more consistent, right? So from 3 meals and one something in between that he was sending me, I agreed with him, okay, from now on you send me only the breakfast and lunch. So I was eating like 8 o'clock, 3 in the afternoon, and that's that. And it went okay for a while, but I reached the conclusion somehow that, yeah, the menu was truly keto, right?
Sorry to interrupt. Just before we go forward, so you were brought up eating kind of meat and eggs and dairy, and you're kind of moving back to that style now is where you're at. But
Yeah.
what happened in between that made you kind of
Well,
seek this out again?
in between, when I was 21 years old, in Romania, the anti-communist revolution happened, right? So with this newfound liberty, all the perks came. Fast food, Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, and all the rest, right? So for a while I was so I never ever gave up meat, right? But pizza, I was never fan of, I don't know, breakfast cereals or things like that, right? But every now and then I would drink some Coke or Pepsi or juice, or not like every day a couple of liters or something like that, but I was consuming them. So probably when I started keto, I was probably on my way I was definitely not metabolically healthy. The blood work was in reasonably good shape with small, so everybody says LDL doesn't matter. By itself, I kind of agree. But when you look and you see HDL low, triglycerides medium to high, and LDL high, and the test that many people would tell you, look down, if you have a pot belly, you have insulin resistance, right? So I was definitely having a pot belly. Basically, when I started keto, I was like probably around 115, 118 kilos at 186 height. So definitely not in the BMI was somewhere around 27, 28. I know BMI doesn't matter if you're Sylvester Stallone or Jean-Claude Van Damme. For normal people, I believe it gives you at least orientation, right? So I was in the overweight category, not in the obese, but didn't have any kind of ailments that I can complain with. My relationship with food is I have foods that I like more and I have foods that I like less. I'm still never been able to find a food that I can say I don't like that. So that was also one of the reasons why when the opportunity appeared, I moved here to Thailand, because Thai food is exquisite, right? So I had my share of bad foods, my share of good foods, and as I said, I started going this rabbit hole, and I said, what the heck, I anyway like meat, so let's try it. So basically after 3 years on starting with keto, then mostly ketovore, so I'm still eating some kind of carbs, but carbs mainly came from yogurt, that I'm doing it myself, I'm cooking it myself, I don't trust the and some plants here and there, like a piece or two of broccoli, 4 leaves of salad, a few asparagus, and something like that. It's like having something else on the plate, but usually my lunch is, I don't know, half a kilo of meat with 3 pieces of broccoli, right? So that's kind of so I would say 95% carnivore, not fully carnivore, right? That's why what I started to tell you, because at one point in time, the lunches I was getting from this nutritionist, the breakfast and the lunch, it started for me, dude, you're putting way too many legumes in there. Even if it's cauliflower and broccoli and things like that, it's not for me. I want meat, period. So since then, I'm doing it myself on my own. I'm just cooking my meat and put something around, and usually in the morning, 3, 4 eggs, ghee, yogurt, and that's pretty much it. And yeah, at probably at the point of after 3 years, I reached the current weight that I'm maintaining since. So now I'm at 76 kilos. So and
Wow, what a change.
yeah, so again, it wasn't something that I was looking for. So there are some studies, the mortality with the BMI, right? It's like a U shape. It's very abrupt. It's exactly like the LDL cholesterol, very abrupt at low BMI. It goes down and then it slowly goes up, right? Well, the lower, so the best case for mortality, it's in the overweight, not at the normal BMI. It's in the overweight area, right? So BMI 25 to 30, somewhere there. But that's population wise, right? So I wasn't extremely scared. Yes, my HDL was low, my triglycerides were not above the threshold, but not far away, right? Well, since I started eating like this, right now my HDL to trigs, it's 1 to 1, 80/80. So
And so how are you feeling now, that so all up, sort of the ketovore going towards carnivore way of eating, how long have you been doing that? 3 years in total, or?
no, this is probably my fifth year since I'm doing that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So for about 1 year, I was keto and transitioning, right? And then I went, okay, I'm tired of all these legumes. I want my meat and my
Mm.
eggs.
And so what kind of changes did you note? I know 5 years is a long time, but what kind of changes did you notice as you were moving into ketovore, carnivore?
Um, Changes first is the body composition. Second, and that might be of interest for your viewers. I was generally a pretty active person, right? So even before starting, when I was eating, let's say, reasonably close to the standard diet, and in the keto period, I like swimming a lot. I like table tennis. So every morning I would swim about 1 kilometer and then about 30 minutes of sauna. That's the constant. And then sometimes I'm going to Tai Chi, sometimes I'm playing ping pong and things like that, right? So basically I was doing this kind of regime prior and after. You can outrun a bad diet. That's my point. So I was doing sport before, no weight loss, no nothing. Since I changed, the body composition changed a lot. Um, my background is in data engineering, software engineering, data engineering, statistics, and so on. Let's say I come from the same background as Dave Feldman, right? And I like to measure things. So obviously I wore a CGM. I bought the keto breath apparatus. I have that kind of the smart scale that tells you all kind of things about your body composition and things like that. Obviously, those are not medical grade instruments, right? So I can say that I trust the measurement. But what you are looking for is the change. So even if the device itself is measuring with an error, it has the same, so actually you are measuring the delta. Just to give you the example of the CGM, if it shows you 5 and you have 5.6, okay, but what you're looking for is how high your glucose and how fast is coming down, right?
Yeah.
And that,
It's always going to be 0.6 out, so you can plot the trend. Yeah.
yes, the idea is you want to see the delta. And even if the values are wrong, the delta is right. Right? The same with measuring breath, ketones, the same is with measuring body composition on the scale. Yeah, it measures based on your electrical impedance and some statistics overall of the population, right? But you want to see what happens on a period of time. So is there ups, downs, and things like that, right? So yeah, I did a lot of this kind of measurements and a lot of, as I said, clearly the HDL to trigs ratio has improved a lot. Another benefit, I was, let's say, borderline hypertension, somewhere like 140 to 100, over 100. And for the last 2 years or 3 years, it's pretty constant 120, 110 over 70. So it's like in my 20s, I was in the paradivers, and they won't let you if you have high blood pressure to jump from the plane. We are talking about the military now, and yeah, at that point in time, I was having kind of the same. So that's also a huge improvement, because without this change, as I was saying, even many years before making this dietary change, I was doing sport. Sport is maybe 10 to 15%, but in my personal opinion, 85% at least, it's the diet. It's what you feed your body with. Another interesting thing that was unexpected, I was having like a couple of big moles on my body that the doctor was saying maybe we should test them to see if they are malignant or not. They were big size. And probably 6 or 9 months after starting keto, they just fell off.
That's really interesting to hear
Yeah,
that, because I've heard from other people like different things just suddenly they're gone, you know.
exactly. It's and as I said, those are things that are unexpected and not that I was specifically looking for. The thing I was looking for is, hey, am I feeling better eating this thing? Yes. Okay. I think that's something that has been lost with all the modern medicine. We forgot to listen to our body.
Yeah, it almost seems like, we get so focused on a number in isolation, and we don't stop to go, well, how's the patient actually feeling?
Exactly.
And sorry, Siri's talking
No
to me.
worries.
Um, so, yeah, the doctor never stops to say, "Okay, are you feeling better than normal? Are you feeling worse than normal?" That never is a question.
Well, actually, I have a doctor that I go to every now and then when I have an issue, that those are the kind of questions that he's asking. The caveat here is he's a traditional Chinese medicine doctor.
I was gonna say, how
Not,
did he slip through the cracks?
no. So, yeah, modern medicine is what? Maybe 100, 150 years old, right? Chinese is at least documented 5,000 years. Okay, they don't have RCTs, they don't have epidemiological studies, but exactly what you are doing, and I admire you a lot for this. A ton of n equals 1 experiments, right? I see this patient, and you see him, it improves. Hey, what are you doing? How did you get here? What happened? What changed? Because change is everything, right? But actually, to be fair, last time when I went for my annual blood test, it was an old doctor in the hospital, and he was looking at the results. I'm going once per year for the last 7 years in the same place, and he said, I don't know what you are doing, but keep doing it. It's good. So, even though I presume somehow I crossed, so what happened in the beginning, the cholesterol went from, the LDLC went from 280, 290 to 210. HDL
It dropped.
compensated. Yes, it dropped. But when I presume somehow I entered the LMHR phenotype or whatever, because right now it's 450. So, but again, HDL to trigs, everything else, it's perfect in parameter. Thyroid hormones, testosterone, everything is very good.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm
It
saying I'm I'm I tend to trust more those guys that come from 5,000 years of n equals 1 experience than the guys that they get the paperwork from the lab and they go like the checklist. This is up, take this pill. This is down, take this pill. It doesn't work like that.
and again, the trouble with that method is they're looking at everything in isolation.
Exactly. It's like
It
the
is not.
climate change. Oh, it's a
Yeah.
complex system, and if we fix this tiny molecule, everything will be milk and honey. Yeah, right.
Just happens that there's probably a lot of businesses gonna make money out of that little fix that they're gonna do as well,
Yes,
you know?
exactly. It's only about money. It has nothing to do. I mean, you have to be, I don't want to use harsh words, but unscientific, or not willing to just read a basic book on chaos theory or complexity theory to understand, hey, the climate is an extremely complex system. You cannot say you turn one knob and everything is fixed. It's something else. It's money behind, it's a power grab, it's whatever. And it's exactly the same with the story with answer keys with LDL. Exactly
Yeah.
the same thing.
It's like that the parallel there with the climate is exactly the same with the human body. It's like everything they try and reduce it down to this simple, it's either on or it's off. It's calories in or it's calories out and all this kind of thing. And it's like it doesn't work that way, you know?
No,
It's yeah.
all those guys, they are saying, hey, it's the first law of thermodynamics, right? So it happens that I liked studying physics a lot, starting with reading Feynman's lectures. So the first law of thermodynamics. So whenever you hear somebody talking about calories in and calories out, you ask him what is the first law of thermodynamics? What is the expression? The expression starts with a system in isolation. We are not a system in isolation. We are constantly exchanging with our surroundings, temperature, gradients, we are eating, we are producing energy, we are consuming. So we are not an isolated system. So you cannot apply the calories in. It's a very rough approximation. Okay, with that I can agree, but we are not an isolated system. So don't tell me the first law of thermodynamics says that the model is good.
And it's amazing how many educated people will throw that out. You know,
Exactly.
it's crazy the amount of people you'll hear say that, and you think, hang on. I mean, I'm not anywhere near being a scientist or anything, but you know, just from watching a few YouTube videos, I can understand this, and it's like, why are these
Exactly.
people that have been at university half their lives don't know?
I don't know what is really happening lately. So, if you look at the scientific method as defined by Karl Popper in the 18 something, right? The idea is you come with a hypothesis and you are not searching to validate this hypothesis, you are searching to deny it because it's the black swan approach, right? You can see 1,000 white swans. When you see one black, your hypothesis is negated, right? How many studies in nutrition that you saw are doing that? Okay, let's try to disprove our hypothesis that plants are the ideal. They are doing they are
They're doing
just
the
putting
opposite,
their
right?
bias. Exactly,
Mm.
they are putting their biases in their papers instead of truly following the scientific method. Yes, in physics, they are still hanging on to that. In math, you cannot play around with formulas. So that's one of the things I like about math and about computers. Well, lately with those LLMs, it's a little bit different,
But yeah,
but
that actually that's the same with me. That's what I liked about computer and maths was it's either on or it's off. There's no gray areas.
zero or one. So there it's okay to judge like this. But when you come to a human being, which we have a soul, whatever that is, but the idea is our consciousness is able to affect our physical reactions, right? So how do you quantify that as on or off? Or your LDL is above that value, you should take statins for the rest of your life and you will live what, 3.5 days longer if you take it for 40 years. Like, it's
Yeah.
crazy,
It
but
but again, it suits someone's purpose, you know, and it all
yes,
comes down to
definitely
money.
the with uh, the agenda is pretty clear out there, right?
So, for you, you've been at this for 5 years now. Um, how is it with your lifestyle in Thailand? I guess you've got more energy and stuff. Is Thailand a good kind of outdoorsy place where you can use that energy?
Not really. So it's pretty. I like hot weather, so that was another reason why I moved here. I hate winter, so in Thailand there is no winter. Sometimes in the northern part of the Thailand, on one of the mountains, maybe the temperature goes below 10 degrees Celsius, but that's the coldest that you can get. So here in Bangkok, I never remember lower than 18 at night. So, so outdoor sports, they are every now and then I'm going in the park to play ping pong out there, right? But after 1 hour, it's probably 2 liters of sweat and 2 liters of water to drink. And but as I said, I'm going a lot swimming, sauna. People are looking at me like I'm crazy, like what? It's 36 degrees outside and you're going into the sauna? Yeah, because in the sauna it's 80 or whatever in there. But one thing that I have noticed is that I wouldn't say bodily, but at least mentally, or how should I say, the temperature doesn't affect me. So I don't know if it's from the sauna, it's from the carnivore regime, because it was the transition, right? But I don't feel extremely bad right now at 39 degrees. Yes, I feel a little bit hot, but not that I cannot walk 2 kilometers or things like that.
So, like less sensitive to the temperature.
Yes, yes. And yeah, I forgot to tell you. So what I'm doing is mixed, because the gym I go, they have sauna and nearby the ice room. So I go sauna, ice room, sauna, ice room. And it's also about the ice room. I stay in there probably 5 to 10 minutes and I'm not shivering at all. Right? So I don't know what to make out of this.
So it's interesting you talk about that. When I was a kid, one of my dad's friends was from Finland, and in Melbourne he had this quite a big block of land that his house was on, and he built a big sauna out the back, and obviously there's no snow or ice in Melbourne, so he had a cold water pool, like a plunge pool kind of thing. So he would go into the sauna and then he would go straight into the plunge pool and freeze, and then he would go back into the sauna and do that kind of thing, because apparently in Finland something that's really popular is going
Yeah.
into the sauna, then rolling around in the snow, and then
Yeah.
going back into the sauna, which is
Yeah,
interesting.
that's kind of what I'm doing, because in the ice room they have like an ice chute, shaved ice, and I wash myself with shaved ice and stay for, as I said, 5 or 10 minutes, whatever. And
How does that feel? Is it like nice after you've been in the sauna, or is it
yes,
like sting your
yes,
skin? Or
I don't feel it stingy. I feel it like not exactly a relief, because I'm not feeling bad in the sauna. It's a good feeling, but different from the heat. I don't know how to say. But definitely it's something in the range of a hormetic effect, right? Because you are pushing up and down and you are stressing a little bit your body to do something.
wow. So, you plan to stay on this path going forward?
Definitely. It works. I'm feeling extraordinary. No disease, no nothing. So, if it ain't broken, don't fix it.
Very, very good point. So, do you have any social media or YouTube channel or anything like that, Dan? If people want to reach out to
Mm,
you,
I have only a LinkedIn account that I'm looking every now and then. Facebook and the friends, I think I closed them more than 10 years ago. So, and on YouTube, I'm only watching, I'm not producing content. If anybody wants to reach me for any questions or anything, I'm old school, I'm 57 this year. Email dantodor@gmail.com. That's the
Hmm.
best way to reach me.
No worries. Well, I'll put your email address in the show notes if that's okay.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us, Dan. Thank you so much.
I appreciate a lot what you are doing. As I was saying, you are showing so many people improving, fixing things that medicine is unable to do anything about, and they are still saying, no, it's not good for you. You are showing what 100, 200 of black swans, and they still say no, there are no black swans. I cannot understand this.
Yeah.
Again, keep up the good work. Thank you for everything you're putting out there.